Closing market comments for Wednesday, April the 7th. Markets were mixed on the open last night and traded both sides before the close. Quiet news on the news front today. There was a sell-off in soybeans as hedge fund traders sold soybean oil, driving it down $1.07, which pressured the soybean complex. Corn and wheat were able to close higher on the day. Dry weather impacted the crop in Safrina, with 50% of the corn crop there being drier than normal, and continued talk about dry weather and drought over the next few weeks. AgroConsult lowered their Brazilian corn estimate by 3.5%, with higher acres but lower yields. They increased the soybean crop for next year to 137.1 million metric tons, 8.5% higher than this year. The U.S. attaché to Brazil has this year's soybean crop at 134 and next year at 141. Russia is implementing an export tariff on sunflowers and sunflower products based off price, similar to what they did earlier on wheat and corn. Ukraine corn exports are down 25% from last year at this time, but the Ukraine wheat crop is estimated to be 10% better than last year at 27.5 million metric tons. Brazil stopped trading soybean oil today in their biodiesel blend trade, which is kind of like the RINs here in the U.S., and no announcement on what they're going to do, but it's also pressured the soybean oil and stocks. One of the things they're looking at is the high cost of oil versus the environmental benefit of biodiesel, so we'll have to see what their decision is going forward. Weekly oil inventories were released, with crude oil stocks at 498.3 million barrels, down from 501.8 the previous week, and but 13.9 higher than last year. Gasoline stocks were 234.6 million barrels, up 4.1 from last week and down 22.7 from last year. Distillate stocks were 145.5 million, up 1.4 and 22.8 above last year. We are really starting to see the impacts on the oil industry kicking in compared to last spring with the COVID situation. Currently, refineries 84% of capacity, up from 83.9 the previous week, but last year at 75.6. Ethanol production showed the same situation, 975,000 barrels per day, up from 965 the previous week, but last year at this time, 672,000 barrels for the day, which should be a 303,000 increase, so a substantial increase this year compared to last. Ethanol stocks, even with the increase in production, were 20.642 million barrels, down 472,000 from the previous week, and a whopping 6.449 million barrels below last year. The dollar was up 57, gold was down 460, and silver down 37. Crude oil up 34 cents at 59.67, and stocks traded on both sides before closing. Dow futures up 36, NASDAQ up 48, and S&P. WASDE report will be out on Friday at noon. Estimated numbers have corn carryout at 1.379 billion bushels, down from 1.502 last month and 1.919 last year. Soybean carryout estimated at 118 million, down from 120 million in March and 525 million last year. Wheat carryout at 846, up 10 million from the March estimate and below last year at 1.028 billion bushels. Brazil beans are estimated at 134.2, Brazilian corn at 108.3, Argentina beans at 46.7, and Argentina corn at 46.7. As I said, the report will be released Friday at noon. It will also include world production numbers that will impact the market. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good evening.